This week in the news, Splitgate devs cope, Final Fantasy XIV's DDoS problems on full display, PlayStation wants you to watch AI play their games, Roblox is addicted to bad decisions, and more on this week's Old Man Rages at the News. Before we get this going, hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content. We're kicking off this week with the Persona Metaphor director saying Atlus RPGs must attract a wider audience. Oh boy, I hope this doesn't slopify their games. In an interview with Game Informer, Katsura Hashino stressed that Atlus's future is about finding ways to evolve our JRPG and what it looks like. Yes, that's the exact quote. To further quote, more so than just latching on to a specific genre of games, we're going back to how we can evolve our JRPG and what it looks like. For us, it's coming to a turning point where we want to really take it to the next level in terms of how JRPGs are. Of course, we want to retain our strengths, whether that be our narrative or elements that make us JRPGs. With these changing times, we do feel the need to update our format and create games that will be more widely playable, not just within the JRPG realm, but something that will be easier, more accessible for a wider audience. We're hoping to update our format with that in mind. I really do hope this is an update to the format instead of chasing a modern audience because... and I'm just gonna talk surface level here. If we take a look at how Persona games work, most of them play almost the same because they are all a knowledge check. The difference between Persona 5 Royal and Persona 3 Reload is that Persona 5 Royal has the busted Persona traits, while Persona 3 Reload has a strategy system that, if used correctly, can one-shot most things in the game. And most of those seem to be just tacked onto the turn-based mechanics. Hopefully they're just looking at Expedition 33 and taking some stuff from there. My biggest concern is that they're trying to chase a wider audience, meaning that there is a chance they won't stick to the original dark themes that they are known for. At the very least, Persona 3 Reloaded was a faithful remake, keeping basically 99% of the original game's content, including Tartarus, and the answer which most sane people didn't like during the PlayStation 2's era. Moving on, the Splitgate devs has a horrible take against its criticism. Splitgate 2, which changed its name to Splitgate Arena Reloaded, hasn't had that much traction. You can see that with it barely having around 500 players with the usual 1,000 at most, thus resulting in what most will call a fumble. Let's not forget that this game launched around 10,000 players and peaked around 25,000 players a few days later. Now, they claim that Steam charts don't measure fun. Sure, it doesn't measure fun. It measures how many players enjoy the game. That's what Steam charts measure. And if they enjoy the game, they have fun. Put that on a t-shirt and sell it. The Splitgate devs further wrote, and I quote, "They show one number, one platform, at one given moment. They don't show the full picture of what it feels like to actually play, and they definitely don't capture the community that's actively helping shape what Arena Reloaded is becoming, including upcoming content like Arena Royale." Which is true, but where is this supposed full picture then? Since the way I look at it, the more people play a game, the more fun people actually have with it. Another thing that this is a free-to-play game. They also made this word vomit of a PR statement, and I quote, "And to everyone who hasn't played yet, Arena Reloaded is free, the gameplay is the best it's ever been, and we'd love for you to jump in and form your own opinion. A lot of passionate people worked very hard on it," which basically comes off as them desperately trying to get extra players. Hell, even Opera GX made fun of the company statement, tweeting, "My game isn't bad, Steam charts just hates me 6 times. And looks like 2025 is still keeping its ugly head around, because David Rawson, one of Sega's co-founders, passed away on the 25th of December last year. Sega made a post about it and wrote on their X account, "We are deeply saddened to learn of the passing of David Rosen, one of the founders of Sega and a true pioneer in the video game industry. Sega would like to offer its condolences to the family, friends, and acquaintances of Mr. Rosen, and we will always remember his contribution to our company. Pour one out for David over here. May you rest in peace." Moving on, the director of Cyberpunk 2 says extending the 2077's opening act makes no sense in comparison to spending more time on Tatooine with Farmer Luke. Oh boy! So, for those not in the know, at this point it's gonna be hard, but anyways, Act 1 of Cyberpunk 2077 has you planning to steal the relic from Arasaka, and most people believe that it should have been longer. But the director, Igor Serginsky, believes that extending the game's intro would be a poor decision. He started a thread on Blue Sky, making points as to why it would be bad to extend the intro. Here are his points. 1. No, it wouldn't. It's like saying we should spend more time in Tatooine with Farmer Luke before he got involved with all this Jedi stuff. 2. It's an open world game. Some managed to squeeze 20 hours out of Watson. Pick your own pace. 3. The motivation/goal in this section of the game is pretty vague. Get to the top, which prolonged and without stakes or pressure would result in meandering, unforeseen experience. Number 4. Is it enough time to bond with Jackie? For some, it is. For some, it isn't. All things considered, I think we struck a good balance. 5. No, half-year montage is not cut content. We always planned it like this, but more on cut content notion in some other post. Alright. Where should I start with this? Right off the band-aid. The cutscene moment? All the gigs with Jackie, considering, depending on what route you take, either he's your contact, 2, he hires you to smuggle something in, or 3, you meet with the motherfucker when he points a gun at you. You go from there to being besties of chooms in a matter of a single cutscene. How bad would it really been to expand on that? Hell, considering all the cutscenes that were spliced together of different gigs, could have just had V and Jackie play through all of them. Hell, could have been a DLC for the game that allows you to play through the gigs on a new game, after Phantom Liberty. But hey, it's a bad idea, I guess. Finding a way to make money for your company. But anyways, and now, a lesson in IT. Final Fantasy XIV's North American servers are having a bad time with DDoS attacks. The NA servers have been hammered by DDoS attacks since the release of patch 7.4, and it's grinded players' gears. Why? Because that's also the patch that released the Savage Raid tier. For those not in the know, Savage Raid tier is generally one of the hardest pieces of 8-man content in the game. And for those playing Final Fantasy, yeah, I know, Ultimates, Unreals exist, that's why I said one of. And also, the other thing that generally starts when Savage releases, the DDoS attacks also happened, and whatever raid teams in the NA tried to go for Final Fantasy XIV's Race to World first, did not have that great of a time. As PC Gamer mentioned, the server statuses are not looking good because, looking at the Lodestone news, there's been a lot of technical difficulties caused by these DDoS attacks. Not only that, but there's even an X account dedicated to just seeing if the game got DDoS today. Talk about it being a common occurrence at this point. There's even a Reddit post on their subreddit venting about how it's on the verge of being unplayable. It's not even just the subreddit, it's also the official forums for the game getting those posts. It ain't a good day to be a Final Fantasy XIV player, especially if you're on the NA servers. Now, remember Highguard? If you do, I'm surprised because it's been missing in action ever since the announcement. Yes, they haven't uploaded anything since the reveal and there isn't much excitement surrounding it. Even IGN's trailer there isn't much excitement surrounding it, with IGN's trailer having around 55k dislikes. Not only that, but as Paul Tassi here pointed out, there are no new tweets since its announcement, and it's strange that there's nothing new about the game considering it's supposed to release on the 26th of January. The article also mentions how there are theories about Highguard spending all its budget on the slot for the game of the year, while others think it will shadow drop without promotion. It's possible the latter, cause maybe they're too embarrassed to show off more of Concord version 2, but anyways, that's gonna be just speculations. Tassi is also expecting there is a new campaign as soon as the article drops, but as I pointed out in the earlier part of the segment, it's drier than a fucking Sahara Desert. It would be funny if on the day of the upload something drops, but yeah, I ain't gonna hold my breath. It's here, folks! Raise your cups! Sony is making an AI to play the games for you! Oh, brother. I can't wait to see all these new channels coming up where it's 3 hours of AI playing a game with no voiceover or, I don't know, terrible AI voiceover. On the bright side though, it might be better for your average journalist so they can avoid getting stuck on the tutorial level, don't you think? But anyways, this patent that was noticed by All About AI and VGC described an overlay version of a player's character. When using this AI, it would show how to solve puzzles or provide, quote, example controller input button sequences, which is supposed to allow players to progress with the game. Basically, it's a built-in Google search without searching. On one hand, I understand it's there for the casuals, so they don't have to bash their heads in just trying to figure out something. But at this point, just go on YouTube and watch someone else plays it if you're gonna let AI play your game. I hope there is at least an option to disable this slop, since for me personally, it kinda ruined the enjoyment of games. I don't like backseaters that don't know what they're talking about, and this AI sure as shit sounds like that. Hell, when you think about it, I'd amp up the difficulty if it means having a challenge to overcome in some games. But anyways, I digress. There is also an image with the patent describing mode switching, which would allow for different options to choose from. Said options are story mode, combat mode, exploration mode, and full game mode. And I do understand the reasoning here. Hell, my editor had to look up a guide for one of Shin Megami Tensei 4's endings, but this patent is described like it's permanently on and is applied to everything. That would just annoy the average gamer and be a net negative instead of a benefit. Combine this with Project Ava, Razer's version of Alexa, and, well, you have a recipe to be 100% laughed at. As far as I'm concerned, that's not how you should implement AI. But that's a different story. And now, for grade A dumpster fire. Ubisoft can take a break as it's reported that their Rainbow Six Siege servers got compromised. Again! This time, random people are getting banned for 6-7 days for supposed harassment. More specifically, Ubisoft wasn't compromised from their quote-unquote anti-cheat or rogue agent or threat actor infecting an employee with an information stealer. It wasn't the traditional compromise that we know of. It was abuse of the API. In other words, someone discovered an API endpoint that they could abuse. With that API endpoint, they were able to send commands to it, the likes of giving bans, credits, etc. And normally, the bans, credits sections are handled by another program. Those very people found a way to bypass the API's authentication somehow, and Ubisoft is aware of what's happening. Thankfully, no data was stolen. At least that's good. It was just someone beating Siege servers with a stick until it did stuff. Oh, and those same people can send custom messages right into your game. But that's not all. Ubisoft also closed down its Halifax studio, but claimed the decision is unrelated to the recent unionization. In an email reviewed by VGC, Ubisoft said it had decided to close Ubisoft Halifax as part of company-wide cost-cutting and recruiting measurements. For anyone who's curious, the studio is responsible for the mobile title Assassin's Creed Rebellion. Yeah, no wonder we haven't heard about that, considering it's a mobile title. But anyways, last month Ubisoft Halifax workers formed a union with around 60 workers signing up to the Game and Media Workers Guild of Canada. Ubisoft claimed the decision to close Halifax was made allegedly well before this decision and said it fully respects employees' right to unionize. The thing is, CWA Canada has said it will pursue every legal course to defend union members impacted by Ubisoft Halifax's closure. In a statement sent to game developer, it said the timing of the decision, quote, raises many questions which we do yet have answers, and that it would be, quote, demanding information from Ubisoft to understand why it decided to shut down the studio. To further quote the CWA Canada president, Carmel Smith, today's news is devastating. We'll pursue every legal recourse to ensure that the rights of those workers are respected and not infringed in any way. Ubisoft is not in a great place, that's for sure. And now for some crushed dreams, specifically Microsoft crushing the dreams of the former Elder Scrolls Online head by killing his dream MMO. Matt Ferrer, however you pronounce this, I don't know really, finally discussed his abrupt departure from ZeniMax Online and confirmed that Microsoft's massive wave of layoffs and cancellations saw the end of his budding MMO codename Project Blackbird. This information came from his own Blue Sky post on the 1st of January, in which he stated he is not directly involved in any projects founded by former ZeniMax Online members, though he is, quote, advising some of them informally, end quote. He also stated, Project Blackbird was the game I had waited my entire career to create. Having it cancelled led to my resignation. My heart and thoughts are always with the impacted team members, many of whom I had worked 20 plus years with, and all of whom were the most dedicated, amazingly talented group of developers in the industry. He also stated he hasn't figured out what he'll do next, but he hasn't been sitting on the sidelines. For now, he made some investments in small teams that he knows will play a big part in changing the industry in the future. And now for the gaming company that you don't want to leave unsupervised your kids with. Roblox rolled out a new age verification system with AI. And if you know anything about age verification using AI, you can see where this is going. Yep, the tweet got community noted, showing multiple instances of the AI getting information wrong. Now, on the surface level, it looks okay. You make a video showing your face and you follow the instructions, then it puts you in within a group. Cool, I'm not even gonna bother reading the rest of the article because it's both repeating previous statements and smells purely of damage control. The problem comes when you start thinking for, well, roughly about 2 seconds. First of all, you need a moderator for every single one of those age groups because, shocker, under this system, a 21-year-old cannot moderate what a 16-year-old is saying. Now, I might be talking out of my ass, but, you know, we've all been 16-year-olds at one point or another and said stupid things and done stupid things. I mean, there's not a whole lot of improvement when you go from 16 to 21, that's for sure. Not only that, but parents are no longer able to play with their children. I mean, this is probably a niche when you think about it, but it just shows that this system has been thrown at the wall to see if it sticks without any thought behind it. But anyways, that's one thing Roblox has going for it. Now, there has been an update to this story. The CEO, and yep, here it is, the famous community notes bringing receipts. Here, it clearly says Roblox doesn't keep any biometric data. Thing is, it's not Roblox doing the scan, it's Persona. And literally reading the next thing, they keep your biometric data for the next 30 days. What do they do with that data during that period? Fuck if I know. but I don't like the sound of any of my data being stored on a server I know fuck all about when there could be potential breaches to said system. Thank God I'm not playing Roblox at this point. The second important thing is that the partner company Persona Identity Inc. is being sued in the court of Illinois. Dun dun dun. I don't know what they were thinking about partnering up like that, but if I were them, I would have thought more about this. I mean, more than 2 seconds should have been more than enough. It is at least worth noting that they're working on improving the system with parental accounts being able to correct the age. But why wasn't that in from the start, you dumbasses? Roblox is a literal dumpster fire. Moving on, the senior community manager of Remedy Entertainment is meddling in businesses that she doesn't belong in. Yep, she publicly admitted that she is befriending the writing team in order to make every character gay. Yes, you heard me right. That is her entire agenda. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't believe this is a joke either, because once shit hit the fan, she went into protected mode. Color me surprised. The usual suspects normally do that. And today I learned we can't have nice things because the localizers deny Oguri Caps the Christmas spirit. They translated Christmas into holiday, and I don't even need to know Japanese know they fucked that up since the horse girls say Christmas. Not only that, but Santa Claus also says Merry Christmas at the start of the video, which got translated to, and I quote because I can't really make this shit up, "A joyous day to you." Like, what the fuck is this shit? Is this some new age, old-timey 1980s medieval England thing or what? Anyways, I'll play the clip for y'all. Be your own judge.
Merry Christmas, Oguri Cap!
Santa-san, こんにちは。そうか、もうクリスマスの時期なんだな。
君宛てにメッセージカードとプレゼントを預かっているぞ。それじゃ良いクリスマスを。
お、ありがとう。大変なお仕事だと思うが応援しているぞ。さて、オグリキャップ様はクリスマスパーティーへのご案内状、ファン一同より。Christmas party.
Now, the thing is, the company isn't off the hook either, because they're planning to establish an AI-focused sub-studio. In a blog post on the official website, Splitgate's AI Studio Inc. will be developing, and I quote, AI-based services and tools. And at the bottom of the post, it also indicates it will be involved in operations support and consulting as part of its AI services. Now, keep in mind, what I'm about to read is translated with Google Translate, so it might not be accurate. If you know somebody who speaks Japanese or you speak Japanese, well, feel free to translate that for yourself. But the translate goes: at the AI studio, CryGames will pursue AI technology that creators can use safely and securely, drawing on experience it has cultivating in-game development, from research and development of its own models to providing services and tools for production sites. The company will build a unique creative cycle that does beyond simple improving efficiency to expand creators' creativity. Though the establishment of the AI studio, CryGames will take on the challenge of creating new user experiences to realize its vision of being a company that creates the best content. Oh boy. This whole AI studio will either be hot garbage or mediocre at best. For the Umamusume fans, I hope at least they have something that works for them. And for the studio, I hope they at least have someone checking what this AI spits out. Brother. And before this thing throws some AI schizoing out post, then somebody tries to turn this into a game type of moment here. And finally, a series of poor choices. looks like a certain game shat the bed. But before I go into this, I'll give you some context. Cold Violet, of Cold Violet dev team fame, and as described by the dev team of the game, is a third-person action horror game, and it's only a PS5 title. So far, so good. Now, the thing about this whole thing being a disaster is that they didn't want to release a PC version for the game because they don't want anyone modding the game with vulgar versions of the main character or any other character in the game, thus already killing a good chunk of their potential revenue. Then they shot themselves in the foot with this. Yes, they don't want players to mod their games, but they themselves would put the main character in risky outfits. The word people are looking for is hypocrisy. And now, to the present, launch day arrived. And you're getting articles like these where it says, the game is crashing and burning. I didn't even have to look for this the moment I remembered this game is a thing. It just appeared above the official website. Irony. The gameplay is also characterized by elementary puzzles, keycard retrieval missions, and a lack of the most basic game function called a quest log. You know, the nicest, standard, bare bones feature that, I don't know, most games have implemented in any way, shape, or form is missing in this game, and it's 2026. What the hell are we looking at here? Now, if this was on PC, I'm pretty sure some batshit crazy person with coding skills would have modded that in about, well, I don't know, a day? I mean, quality of life features aside, they also managed to fumble the shooting mechanics in the game, as well as making it feel weightless and worse fender of them being the shotguns firing. The sound was compared to, and I quote, wrapping of the straw. Yeah, this shit's bad. How the hell do you mess up something as simple as a sound bite? I mean, I can probably find a YouTube video of somebody shooting a shotgun and it would sound better. Ugh, brother. Not only that, but they decided to implement the Bethesda special, and they implemented it very well here. AK, you have bugs, and more bugs. Like where the players get paralyzed, rollers freeze, cameras clash with the environmental geometry, and all of that makes navigating a nightmare. But anyways guys, welcome back to Day 1 Skyrim, without the modders to potentially fix things. What a great PlayStation 5 exclusive to kick the year off with. Tony must be thrilled. But anyways, that's all for this week. You know the drill. Hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed the content. Leave a comment, or don't, and I'll see you next time.